experiences. The things that you go through as a child, they affect you. They even talk about how they affect you physically. But the things that counteract that are community. And the point of this is when you build resilient communities and you build a life around you that supports you and doesn't re-traumatize you, or at least tries not to, those things can counteract any type of dysfunction that you might be going through. The other part about that is most people, when they start taking the test and doing the reading, realize it wasn't just a Black thing. We all have stuff that we've dealt with. Living with someone from an early age that experiences mental health issues, the instability in the households, substance abuse. There's a list of things that this will affect who you are as you grow up, unless you have something to balance that out. The love.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show, hosted by Lindsey Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Hey, First Class family. Please be aware that this episode does contain a few audio and/or video technical difficulties that couldn't be corrected without losing the valuable content. We don't strive to be perfect, but we do strive for excellence. And it's most important to us that you are served despite this minor obstacle. Thank you so much for your patience with this episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show, and I'm here with another special guest, the beautiful Tonya McKenzie, and we're going to hop right into it, as you know how we do here on this show. Thank you for being here. I know you could be doing anything in the world, but you're here with us, so we're not going to waste any time. Welcome to the First Class Life Studios, Tonya. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am so grateful to be here with you because you are such a spirit in everything that you do. So it always makes me feel great to be around women doing exactly what you're doing, highlighting, storytelling, other people's stories, which is important. That's how we all get through things, other people's stories and other people's persistence. So I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. We cannot wait to hop into your story and all the great things that you are doing. So I've had the honor of getting to know you behind the scenes, but I need you to let in all of the First Class family. Tell us, who is Tonya McKenzie really? Like, pull back the curtains, give us the good stuff. Who are you, girlfriend?
Well, look, I don't want to run off your guess, but I am going to let you know a little bit about me. My story is a little unconventional. I'm a gun violence survivor. At the age of 5, we spent time in a federal witness protection program. And I know to some people are like, those really exist? Yes, they do. And after we got out of that program, my mom was actually, she got held in contempt and for perjury charges. The person that shot her and killed her boyfriend in front of me was a relative. So people were trying to get her to, family, to lie, protect, not protect the woman, protect the man. And she did. She lied. So after we got out of the program, we spent time in a prison for women with children. Went from there to a homeless shelter and just I put it like this. I had over 21 addresses by the time I graduated from high school. I'm from San Jose, California, the Bay Area. It used to be very multicultural. We've lost a little culture. It's a great place to raise kids and, have a great life. But it's a lot different than 30 years ago, if I'm giving away my age. Making it through that type of childhood takes a lot of community, right? I look back on that story, that young girl, and trying to figure out how she was able to progress, because we all know that coming from violence and substance abuse and things of that nature, it does not always turn out well. So taking a look back at her is actually what got me to this point. I wound up going to Cal State Northridge. Actually, I'm lying. I went to Grambling first because I wanted to, coming from the Bay Area, I wanted to get in touch with my Blackness. Okay. I wanted to know what that felt like to just be immersed in our culture. And I'm not going to lie, it was absolutely amazing. The teachers, the educators, the administrators, they are so, oh my God, the family you always wanted, taking care of you, making sure that, you have what you need, because most kids are from out of state and most of us are on financial aid and most of us need that support. So they step in and they are that support. What I learned though in this journey to Louisiana from California is that I don't really like bugs, big bugs. That weather was something else. Okay. Roaches with wings, that's just not for me. So I had
oh my goodness.
I had to go back to California. Yeah, and so I went to Cal State Northridge, graduated from there. I was actually a student senator there. That's kind of where I got my got my teeth cut on politics, I guess you could say. Ran for a senator seat, won that, and then worked with the university to help build it back up, because for most people, not sure if what your age is, but we have earthquakes in California, and it actually knocked down the whole school. So I was a part of the rebuilding process. And with that being said, you get to understand a lot of things, right? How money is spent when it comes from FEMA, how different campuses are organized. It's not just, we can just spend the money. We actually had to get buy-in from the community because it was a commuter campus. So taking all of that experience as I got older and rolling it into a career now where I am a commissioner for LA County with alcohol and other drugs, working to solve problems. That's what we do. We solve problems in LA. I asked one of my supervisors, I said, what do we do? Like, what is the thing? And she's like, we're the happy place. We're where people come when they want solutions. And that has always been my life's work, is how do we solve the problems? How do we get to a happy place for all of us, not just for a few of us? And I also started my PR firm based on the fact that people don't know how to tell their story. So I did a little inventory into my career. I was supposed to go to law school. My mom passed after I graduated from Northridge. So me and my husband wound up raising her two kids. They were 5 and 7 at the time, and they found her on the floor in the kitchen. So we knew that they probably needed some extra support that my family was not going to provide, because we're still dealing with generational trauma. And my husband does not come from the kind of dysfunction that I do. He's from a military background. I am from all out dysfunction. So we make a great team. Decided to raise the girls, moved back to the Bay Area, and I started my career there in marketing and PR. I was with a nonprofit, ad agencies, and throughout the last, 20-something odd years, I've been in PR, because telling the story is actually where the win is, right? Telling the story helps to connect you to the win, connect you to the struggle, connect you to all of the different elements that actually shows a lot more humanity in us. So I've been running Sand and Shores, that's my company, for the past 8 years now. I was when I first moved back to Southern California, my husband's in tech, they moved us out here. I was with a publication, and they just did not do what I thought a person, a company, a small business needed when they pay $5,000 for, let's say, a front page ad. How do you know that they're really getting that many clicks? Like, it's so gimmicky, marketing and advertising. And my background is more of customer service. And I wanted to make sure people are getting what they needed. So I started a firm where I could deliver all of those things. And that's just kind of where I've been, running my business, telling my story, and trying to help solve problems. Because at the end of the day, all we have left is the legacy we leave. All we have left are the things that we've done with and for our children, the things we've done with and for the communities that we're in. So being blessed enough to be able to look back on my story and know 100% I could have not been here. Since I am here, what am I going to do with that, right?
Yes.
Looking for amazing products to help boost your first class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first class life because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com.
Listen, you have already said a lot, and there's something that I want to kind of backtrack and touch on because you mentioned community, but you were in witness protection and you had 21 different addresses before you graduated high school. And I know when people move around a lot, it can be hard to build that sense of community. But it's important as leaders that we do have a community somewhere, not only the community that we pour into, but one that can pour into us, especially when we are going through times of difficulties or times of struggle or obstacles. And so we've got to equally have that community that can uplift us when we're feeling a little down, which can be hard to find as leaders. So talk about that journey a little bit, because how were you able to find community with moving around so much?
I'll be honest, my grandparents were the most stable thing in my life. They were consistent, right? You have to have something that's consistent that you can hold on to. And for me, it was them. They weren't together, but in their separate homes, they were all the support that a child could ask for. And everything was based there. So when things would be chaotic in my mom's life, we wound up back at my grandmother's house. If she was doing some stuff, my grandmother would come and get me. After the murder that morning, someone actually took me back to my grandmother's house. And I went to school on Monday. That just shows you how very stable my grandparents were. That happened on a Saturday morning. I went to school on Monday. Didn't miss a beat. So my community has always been them and everything that surrounds them. But I will say this. I wrote a book about my journey. And during the time that I wrote this book, I did a lot of research trying to understand how the person I am based on my experience, right? Part of that research, there was another boy there with me that morning. It was my mom's boyfriend's son. He was a little younger than me, but I did some research to go find him. And at first his family was like, no, don't contact him, leave him alone. And they did not want me to talk to him, but I really wanted to know how his life turned out, how experiencing gun violence at his age and losing his father affected him. And they gave me so much pushback. But I eventually found him, and he is doing life in prison for triple murder. I say all that to say I had the support. And I try to imagine what he had after that incident moving forward, and what more violence maybe he experienced to continue him down that path. Also, part of the research was I knew in college something was off with me. I would rage. I would sneak out of parties. We'd go to parties. I didn't really like the crowds. So a level of anxiety, but I didn't have words for that, right? I just knew when nobody was looking, I was going to go home. My friends used to tell me, can you stop dipping out? When we try to hang out and you be disappearing, they looking for me. I'm at home already, because I've always been very anxious in crowds. So I did some more research and I ran into Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris. I'm not sure if you know who she is. She is the very first and African-American woman, a Surgeon General of California. Hospitals do a lot of research. So they started researching childhood trauma. And they did this great research, and then they put it in put it in the vault. Well, Dr. Harris took that research and she actually built a whole health center for young people in the Bay Area. So they deal with ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. The things that you go through as a child, they affect you. They even talk about how they affect you physically. But the things that counteract that are community. And the point of this is when you build resilient communities and you build a life around you that supports you and doesn't re-traumatize you, or at least tries not to, those things can counteract any type of dysfunction that you might be going through. The other part about that is most people, when they start taking the test and doing the reading, realize it wasn't just a Black thing. We all have stuff that we've dealt with. Living with someone from an early age that experiences mental health issues, the instability in the households, substance abuse. There's a list of things that this will affect who you are as you grow up, unless you have something to balance that out. The love, the support, the resilience that you need. So when you talk about community, I always call them angels on earth, because it was people that were just doing the right thing because it was the right thing to do. Like my cheerleading advisor, maybe he didn't know my circumstances, but he always made sure that I got home, right? My girlfriend's mom made sure that I ate when everybody else ate, even if I didn't have any money. Like those are things that they just do because it's the right thing to do. There's a kid over here that needs something, I'm here to take care of it, without any expectations of anything in return. And I don't think after I wrote the book, most of them I talked to after, most of them didn't even recognize that the things that they were doing was actually life-saving. And I say that to everyone that's listening, because you never know how the things that you do on a regular basis affect the quality of life for someone else, especially young people. Young people.
Yeah, that's so important. It makes me think about someone in my life who we've kind of taken care of, not my husband and I personally, but whenever I was in high school, I used to get her older sister. And then, and so because I was in high school, I was around my mom as well. So not only did I get the little girl a lot, and then my mom got attached to the little girl. And so whenever I was leaving for college, a new baby came. And so then it was both of them, but then I was leaving, but my mom continued to get both the girls after that. And just the influence that we specifically even my mother, even more so, have had on their life, because the family that they come from is very dysfunctional. And there's been more kids after that, but we still connect with the oldest two. And just knowing, like, when they come over, they don't normally want to leave and things like that. And like, there's been times whenever it's been tears, like, I don't want to go home type of thing. And so just the impact of that positive influence, that support, like, you don't have to follow the same path. You don't have to believe what's being said. Like, you can do more in your life, because very talented little girls. Well, they're teenagers now, but still very talented and very pretty and things like that. And it's like, if they can just stay in the right direction, then we can start to change that trajectory. So it is important for that community. And you never know how just sometimes the simplest things that you're doing can make a big difference and an impact in the life of someone else.
Huge.
Very, very, very. Thank you for sharing that. What advice would you give to any leaders out there that, maybe feel like they don't have the support? Like, they're out here busy being a leader, busy trying to do the good work and make an impact, but sometimes feel like I don't really have the support that I desire. What advice would you give to them?
We have to ask for what we need, right? We have to open our mouth and actually ask for what we need. And that's part of being a leader. We wind up getting so caught up in serving others and feeding others, we don't take time for ourselves. my best advice is to find your happy place and meditate on that. Most of the time when we get busy, we're also trying to avoid something, right? What is that thing that is really keeping you from being still? What is that thing that's keeping you from just sitting in your own space? Sometimes we need to address that, right? Take the time to address those things, but really it's asking for what you need. It took me like damn near 40 years to start asking my husband for what I needed, to start asking mentors for help. I was just so caught up in, if we ask for help, it shows a sign of weakness. And once someone has built themselves up to a position of prestige or the right title, you don't want to look weak. You don't want to look like you can't handle it. So we don't ask, but humble yourself to know that even the strongest person has someone that they lean on. It's okay to be like, hey, this might be a little much for me. Can you help me with this? Or can you find someone else? Help me find someone to do this thing. Or I'm struggling with this thing. I'm struggling with how I'm communicating with this person. I can't get this group to navigate the way I need them to. Do you have any suggestions? Just know that everyone, even the people with the highest titles, have someone that they call advisor, that they ask for help from. And know that we're not always objective. Even though we can be experts in our field, it's always good to have neutral eyes on things because we kind of get in it, right? We get in our stuff. But that doesn't make us weak. So I guess being able to acknowledge when you're feeling those levels of stress, when you're feeling those walls that you keep hitting, you can't get the team to function right, you can't get the project done, you're just tired, ask for help. Because there are people that actually want to do that. There's a lot of us out there. There's us out there that want to help us.
Yeah, right.
You got to surround yourself with the right ones.
Yes, that is exactly true. And one thing I like to think about is that when we don't ask for help, we actually rob someone else of their moment to be a help. So I'm a big firm believer, like allow people to walk in their gifts and skills while you walk in yours, like because we're all here to support one another. And so we have to be willing to open our mouths and say, hey, this is an area that I need support in. And not only am I telling you I need support, but I am backing up and allowing you to give me that support because that's what you can do walking in your purpose and your gifts and your skills. And I can walk in mine over here. So
it's funny. I tell people that have a hard time telling their story. I just call them selfish. I was like, oh, you don't want to talk about it? You're selfish. Because your struggle and your win is someone else's healing. Well, I don't think it's that important. You don't know what you have gone through that resonates with someone else. So don't be selfish out there. Okay? Share your stuff.
Are you loving the First Class Life Show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/First Class Life. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/First Class Life.
Exactly. Listen, I have a fun game for us to play, and I think now is the perfect time to play it. Are you up for the challenge?
Sure. That, like, what are we doing? No.
So, listen, if you miss the buzzer, the viewer's going to have to take a shot, right?
Yep, it's going to be on y'all. Yes.
So how it is, it's called First Class Favorites. And all I'm going to do, it's going to be very simple, is I'm going to tell you a prompt and you're going to fill in the blank. Easy peasy, right? But you have 10 seconds to fill in the blank, okay? And yes, for the First Class family that's tuned in right now, if she misses the buzzer, then, take a shot or do a push-up, whatever works for you. Do a burpee, run a lap. So, all right, you ready? We'll start with something easy. What is your favorite day of the week? Go.
My favorite day of the week is Saturday because
Ooh,
yes. You want a full answer? You want a dissertation? What are we doing?
Why Saturday? Why Saturday?
No, Saturdays is the day I am with my family. So, it's not getting ready for Monday. It's not reliving the weekend, the week. It is literally Saturday is for fun, period. So some people are like Sunday fun days. It's Saturdays for me. All my kids play sports and we're probably at a field somewhere. Most people think it's a drag, but I love it. And I love to give them my time. So Saturday.
Mm-hmm. See, that wasn't too bad. Now was it? What's your favorite drink? Go.
A classic cab.
A
vintage
cab. Nice. So far, so good. What is your favorite food specifically? Go.
Anything peach. Anything peach. A smoothie, a peach cobbler, a peach pie, anything peach. Gum, I don't care. If it's peach, we good. Winning.
What is your favorite book, author, and title? Go.
Whoa. Oh God. Mine. What's the name of my book? A Child's Memories of Cartoons and Murder.
That was technically the buzzer.
I made it. I think I made it.
So that's one. It's only one. She only missed one buzzer. So tell us again the name.
A Child's Memories of Cartoons and Murder.
Gotcha. By Tonya McKenzie.
That's it.
Okay. And what is your favorite song? Go.
If by Patti LaBelle.
If by Patti LaBelle. I can hear it playing
If only you
in
knew.
my head now. What's your favorite place to travel? Go.
Mexico.
Ooh, any place in particular?
Sayulita.
Nice. One of my favorite restaurants is in Mexico. And I'm like, oh goodness, it's so good. It's so fresh and delicious and flavorful. It's a local restaurant called Tres Islas. I have to tell you more about it.
We went, my husband and I went for our 20th anniversary and we stayed with the people. We didn't do the resort thing. We stayed with the people. Food was amazing. It was my first time having a pina colada, but like fresh, like grated coconut and everything. Let me tell you something. We were looking for houses there by the time we left.
I bet. Mexico is like second home to me. I'm there so often.
I love it.
Different places. So, what is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
Lay out at the beach.
Nice.
Bum. But I also say this, it's where you can clear your mind so you can work out. You can clear your mind. You can fall asleep, which is what I do.
Listen, you can do all of the things laying out on the beach. Thank you for playing our game. And what's nice is that you, First Class Family, if you are a member of our Patreon community, then you will actually have access to our First Class Favorite Things list, specially curated by all of our phenomenal guests. Like the lovely Tonya McKenzie. So we have favorite books, place to travel, our playlist of songs, and relaxing activities because we're all about self-care here. So you will be able to access that ongoing, uniquely curated list if you are a member of our private Patreon community. So make sure you click the link and sign up today if you aren't. All right? Don't miss it.
Thank you.
Yes. You're officially a part of it now. So let's hop back into this discussion. So as you got older, you realized that there were some things going on in your behaviors that was a result of what you experienced as a child. So being, in this leadership position, how do we begin to identify those areas that need to be healed from our childhood?
They make you uncomfortable. When you have behaviors that make you uncomfortable, that are not really who you are, they need to be addressed. And I'll give you an example. I used to rage a lot. Like I was angry. When I get angry, it's out of control angry. And I didn't really understand what that was because I enjoyed being happy, right? When you pay attention to your body and you recognize your comfort zone and your comfortable places, and you know that's where I want to be. I like that, Tonya. I like when I can figure out problems without losing it. I like when I can disagree with someone without being disagreeable. I like not getting into physical altercations, even though I grew up in a home where physical altercations were how you communicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I started to address the fact that I get way too angry, like that's not comfortable. And the hard part about that is most people don't want to acknowledge their shortcomings. They blame it on other people.
Mm-hmm.
So even moments when I did get super upset, it would have been easy for me to be like, he did that. You antagonized me. You're over here doing things I don't like. You're gaslighting me. Instead of that, it was, why am I not dealing with this in a more mature way? Why am I not processing this in a way that allows for me to maintain my sanity? Because, sometimes we get in it. We just in it. It spirals. Then I saw that it started to reflect some of the other behaviors of people in my life that didn't turn out well. You have to figure out where that comes from and be okay identifying it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. And I have to say that because a lot of us deal with childhood trauma, but no one wants to blame their family, right? No one wants to put the family on the spot and say, y'all are the reason I'm like this. But the truth of the matter is no one ever wants to say that. That's why it's continued to plague our families for generation over generation. We have to be okay acknowledging where our hurt comes from, where our pain comes from, what our triggers are, and why those are triggers. I was also assaulted twice. Once by my uncle when I was 13. I was asleep. So when I got older, I recognized that I don't like anyone touching me when I'm asleep. Like I wake up in terror. And one day I was just like, I need to address why I'm sweating because someone touched me in my sleep. Because I never dealt with my childhood trauma. So now I need to deal with that so that I can move past this thing that's holding me back from the functional relationship with my husband, from my child sleeping in the bed with me. Like it would be that bad. So we have to come to a place if you want to be better. That's the other thing. You have to want to get. You have to be tired of being tired sometimes to make change. And when you are being able to address the problem, even if the root is something you don't want to identify, is going to be the most helpful thing to you. I know it's hard to say this person that I trusted did this thing to me, and now I'm triggered when A, B, and C happens. But if you don't address it, you're not going to be able to get past it. So then you're not living your best life because you don't know when the trigger is going to happen again. Life happens. So do you want to stay in a good place as much as you possibly can? You have to address the things that are causing triggers and causing behaviors that you're not comfortable with. You have to want to be your best self and address the things that trigger you to not be, even if the root cause is something you don't really like. No one likes, oh, I come from a dysfunctional family. So now the family's like, oh, well, we loved you. We did all these things. Yeah, it can be both things. It can be both things. I love you too, but I'm kind of off. And we have to talk about this so it don't happen to the next generation. But we all have to want it. We all have to want to solve the problem. We all have to want to make sure that the next generation is going to be better. And when you're tired of being tired, you will start to identify your triggers and solve those problems that take you out of being your best self.
So what are some ways that leaders can begin to heal those triggers and those issues once they've identified them?
I mean, therapy. Therapy's great. Find a therapist. This is important. Having the kind of friends around you that know who you are and know when you are going left is important. Because sometimes you don't recognize it. You're like in your stuff and they see it. And we call people our friends, but are they really? Will they pull you back and say, hey, I see this is something's going on? Having people that you can trust and talk about these things to. Part of the problem is identifying it and being able to talk about it. That's why I wrote my book. Is I finally was like, I'm tired of holding this. And once you put it out there, whether you're writing it or you talking about it, it's out, and then you can deal with it. But holding it in, one, is bad for your health, your physical health. And then two, you can't solve the problem if you just hold it in. So I always advise, one, if you have a counselor, two, please surround yourself with good friends, even if it's only a few. And three, know your triggers. That's toxic to continue to put yourself in a situation where your triggers are always coming up, or there are people that will re-traumatize you, even if you love them.
Yeah.
That's toxic. And it does come out in your body at some point. So, have someone you can talk to, have people you can trust, have people that understand and want to see you, your best self, and not re-traumatize you and trigger bad things in you. Those things are important, and they're hard work. And some of it is trial and error too. You might not get the right counselor the first time. If you don't feel better after the work is done with this person, then it might not be the right counselor. So knowing what works for you, understanding, and not being afraid to reach out for some of those solutions, reach out for help, and talk about it, write about it. Anything that's bothering you, whether it's some kook at work, some struggle you're having communicating with your team, or something you're going through, write about it, talk about it, get it out. Don't let it fester in your body.
Do you want to be surrounded by other high-achieving women who are working on their goals just like you? Are you looking for your circle that's passionate about their own growth yet still wants to see you shine? Do you desire to be supported through collaborations and connections instead of competition? Then Cowork and Chill is your place to be. Cowork and Chill is a hybrid of virtual co-working and virtual networking. It's a community of women who are striving to build living legacies. This is the space to create meaningful relationships with other equally yoked women where you're being poured into just as much as you pour out. So if you're looking for your crew for supportive accountability, then sign up today at coworkandchill.com. That's COWORKANDCHILL, coworkandchill.com.
Yeah, that's so good, because oftentimes we don't realize how all of this is connected, and it's like, well, why wouldn't it be? It's all part of one body. Our mental, emotional, our physical, all of that overlaps and overflows. And so whenever we're experiencing anxiety or depression or, PTSD or anything of that sort, like, it's having an effect on our physical makeup as well. It's like how you said, you had that experience as a young child, a preteen, while you were sleeping, and it affects how you sleep now as an adult. And, even just your husband or your child touching you in your sleep. And so it's important that we recognize and identify and heal all of those things from our past, whether definitely as a child and then adolescence and young adulthood. And I want to make sure I point out to the first class family is that just because your trauma looks different from her trauma or his trauma or my trauma does not minimize your trauma any less. Just because you weren't sexually assaulted or physically or verbally abused does not mean that you did not experience some level of trauma. So, we were kind of talking about backstage how there was that person that was like, I don't have a story. I've never done anything or been anywhere. Like, we all have a story to some degree, and we've all experienced some level of trauma to some degree. And so, again, just because yours doesn't look like anybody else's doesn't minimize what you've been through in your lifetime. So it's important to understand, your past, your negative experiences and your positive experiences, understanding your subconscious beliefs and doing the work to heal and get better and just overall improve yourself, which is why we're here at the First Class Life.
I think if there are people that really want to start tapping into like some of the things that are uncomfortable with, some of the things they know they haven't dealt with, or they don't understand why this would be bothering them, look up Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris and some of her work. And then Kaiser San Diego did the ACEs study, ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences study. Read it. They have a test you can take. It gives you 10 questions, and it tells you where you are on the ACEs scale. It tells you what that looks like as an adult, how probable it is that you could also re-traumatize, you could traumatize someone else. Right. It talks about all of that. It talks about the mental and physical connection that your trauma has and the different types of trauma. So just like she's saying, I'm not comparing my trauma to your trauma. If something has hurt you, it is still serious. It is to be taken seriously. All of our experiences are different. We're all a culmination of all of our experiences. Yours could be dealing with mental health issues, one of your parents having mental health issues, or not being around, abandonment issues. All of those things suck. They feel terrible. So saying that one trumps the other is definitely not the way to go. So just what she's saying, listen, we all got stuff. And that's the other thing I learned is instead of saying, what's wrong with her, you say, what happened to her, right? You have to know something happened. So allow people grace. Just like you need to be allowed grace because people don't know your story. So it all works out better just being good to each other.
Yes. It all works out better just being good to each other. Amen. Amen. Listen, I love it. I love it. If you are new to the First Class Life, then let me explain that First Class Life is not just some fun phrase to say. It is actually an acronym for all of the characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your lifestyle to create the quality of life that you truly desire, which, if you're tuned in, means that that is a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. And if you want to know what that acronym stands for, then you can do one of two things. You can either, one, go back and listen to the very first episode of the First Class Life Show, or you can just go to firstclasslifeshop.com and purchase the book, First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Creating a Life Full of Purpose, Fulfillment, and Happiness. Okay? So do that. Meanwhile, lovely Tonya, tell us, which of the first 10 key factors do you resonate with the most?
I would say, okay, I'm going to do two. Can I do two?
Yeah. Go
Reflective
ahead.
and leadership. Because we cannot become better at anything until we look back on who you are and where you come from. It matters. People want to act like it don't matter. No, it matters. And I've always taken a step back to look at who I have become, what I'm going to do next, and reflect on any influences in my life. And it matters. Like, what would Jesus do? Sometimes like, what would my grandfather do? It matters. It matters. And leadership, I think, is everything to me because it's important that we step into our leadership, regardless if it's at a job, if it's in your household, if it's in your community. You have to learn to lead. And it doesn't always necessarily mean a title. It's how you move. It's how you operate. It's how you help to get things done. You don't even have to be in the front to be a leader. You can be an influence from behind. You are leading. I see amazing women, no people, but I love my women, doing that. You can lead from behind if you have the skill set. So I just like, leadership and reflective. I think it's important.
Nice. And I can see that from the discussion we've had already. I can see where, you've taken that time to reflect on your past and heal from your past. And now it allows you to be a more impactful leader. So speaking of which, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do nowadays. How do you serve and impact?
Well, first, I run my company, Sand and Shores. We work with nonprofit, civic, and law enforcement organizations primarily because we need to teach them how to tell their story. They don't recognize that they are a brand. So this is odd for law enforcement, police departments to be like, I ain't no brand. No, you are, because you have a reputation, right? If you have a reputation, you have a brand, and you need to be able to tell your story to the people that you serve. Any civic organization should be able to do that. People want to know why they should trust you, know, like, and trust you. So getting them to understand how to tell their story and telling those stories that impact the community the most is what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I do work with authors also, but that is my job, but I'm also a LA County Commissioner. So I serve my county. I'm also Vice President of the Black Public Relations Society because I love my Black people, and lifting up their voice is just my calling, helping to elevate the culture, elevate the messages that are important to us, and make sure that we are well represented in every endeavor in the media.
Nice.
Got hella kids.
And she's a mom.
I got 4. I make people. I do that. I make people.
That is a superpower in and of itself, okay? Making other humans and then keeping them alive.
The CPS don't show up to my house. I did a good job that day.
Right. You're still breathing, you're still functioning.
That's it.
Nice. So what products or services do you have that you can share with the first class
Well,
family?
we do a lot of branding for authors and professionals and organizations. So I do have a branding book. I'm going to go ahead and it's a workbook so that you can kind of look at who you are as a personal brand or look at your company. And that's actually free because I want everyone to understand that how they present themselves is important. So I'm gonna make sure that she has that to give to y'all. And I have a couple groups that people can come through to get advice because I don't have a lot of time for one-offs. So I will leave all those links. And it's really just important to me that when we can give, we do, and that we're just available for people that want to do better. I think, so I have a group called Lady Boss, and it's really for women that just want to ask for help sometimes, or share their idea, or have somebody read their stuff to see if it makes sense. Because we all know what we say isn't always how other people interpret it. So I started this group for like alpha female women that are ambitious and want to do well. Ask for help. There's women in there in different types of leaderships that can help. And that's just what we do. I like to help women get into a better place of leadership. They'll call and say, I think I want to run for this office, but I'm not qualified. Hear their story and be like, girl, you are more qualified than that mediocre man that has a position now. So let's get you into that. So that's really the information that I'll give to your people, your good people, because sharing information is important to me. I can't die with it. Can't take it with me. So I might share it with people.
And thank you for that. We will make sure that all of those links are in the description. So you will be able to just click there and click wherever you need to go. So tell everyone where they can contact you on these internet
Oh my God. So Tonya McKenzie PR, and that's on all social media platforms. I actually if anyone is interested in public relations or communications or creatives, I run a group called PR Lunch Hour on Twitter. And if you don't know how to use Twitter, because I know it's a mess, just come on in. We'll help you out because it's important that we connect, right? So Tonya McKenzie PR or Sand and Shores, all social media platforms. Keep it consistent, keep it easy.
Nice. Do you have any final words of advice for the first class family?
What you say and the whole theme of your platform about living your best life, your first class life, and how everything is connected, that is important. Get in tune with all of those pieces and make sure that they're flowing right. The flow, I studied feng shui too. The flow is important. You don't want to block your energy. You don't want to block your blessings. Patti LaBelle, her book is bomb. She lost all her sisters to cancer, okay? But she talks about pushing through that. We all have trauma. We all have stuff. Don't be embarrassed about yours, but tell your story because it's important. It's healing for someone else, but heal yourself. Get in touch with those pieces that aren't working right, okay? And fix them like a car. Just get your tune up. Come hang out with me at the beach, any of that stuff. Live your best life, but you have to get all those pieces operating and functioning together.
Got it. Well, y'all heard it here. All right. And if you missed it, make sure you go back and listen to the replay. Make sure you hit up the description, the show notes, so that you can get connected with the beautiful Tonya McKenzie. And again, I know you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you are tuned in here with us in the First Class Life Studios. And for that, we are forever grateful. So go out there and continue being the high achieving leader that you are. And remember that you deserve a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. See you next time. Bye.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it.